Welcome back to Oceanside Sports. I'm Ryan Ornstein. This is Jane Van. We're back in episode 5. NBA playoffs started. Stanley Cup playoffs are continuing. And we have a lot to talk about this episode. Jane, let's get started.
All right, sounds good. Wearing the Suns jersey. Ryan, what jersey you got on?
Got my Vegas Golden Knight jersey, even though we're not going to be talking about too much hockey. Got to represent the home team.
Yeah, so we'll start with NBA though. We'll get right into it. The Bucks took a commanding 2-0 lead over Miami today. I was really upset about that as I do love the Miami Heat and Jimmy Butler. Butler shot 0 threes today after in his press conference. I heard he said he would shoot 9 if he was open, but obviously that didn't happen again. He only put up 10 points. Just terrible performance from Miami. Do you think that series is over, or do you think there's a chance they could come back?
No, I think I saw this question. It was like, do the Bucks have a better chance of sweeping the Heat than the Heat have a comeback? And I would agree. I think the Bucks could sweep here. Heat don't
Yeah,
look very good.
I think this is a 5 game series at max. I think Giannis is going to close them out.
I
Then,
love Giannis, and I think he came back with a vengeance. And Middleton's playing great, so I think
totally.
I think Heat are done.
We'll go in depth about that. That's the first series up, so we'll go in depth about it, about all these series actually. And then second, we got this. You mentioned this series is the one to watch, and I think a lot of people are going to watch this series and say, is Kawhi's time up in LA if they lose this? Mavericks go up 1-0 on Clippers. We saw what happened to Paul George, or who dunked it? No, Kawhi dunked that on someone on the Mavs, and they all went insane. And then after that, it went downhill from there. Mavericks took the fourth quarter and the 1-0 lead over the Clippers. Many thought the Clippers were the Western Conference favorites going into the playoffs. So that's something to watch there. Do you have anything to add on to that series?
Well, Luca. I mean, we all saw what Luca did last year in the playoffs for the
Yeah.
bubble. It's just Luca's going to continue to progress, and I think he's going to be a league MVP soon. And depending on what happens with the Mavericks, if they can continue to build around him, they could be a threat. Maybe not yet. I think they could even still upset the Clippers. But like you said, I think Kawhi might be done in LA if the Clippers can't even get past round one. But we'll see then. Now moving on to the Nets Celtics. This series doesn't even need to be a series. We know that Nets are going to wipe the floor with the Celtics. Maybe the Celtics play one, but when you have the big three all healthy and playing, it's very few teams will even get one win against them. It'll be tough. Even though their defense isn't good, that team's just that's Nets are scary if all three are playing.
Right. And then moving on to Blazers Nuggets, I thought this series was an outstanding one. The Denver's up 13 right now with 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, so I'm guessing they'll close it out and take and that series will go to 1-1. I think this is a 7 game series. They are so evenly matched without Jamal Murray. I think with Jamal Murray, Nuggets would win 6 or 7, but now I think this is a toss up, and this one will go down the stretch. I mean, Blazers took game one convincingly. Nuggets look like they're going to take game two convincingly. So this
At
one's
the end of
very
the
evenly
day,
matched.
at the end of the day, it's going to be who's going to be able to come up clutch more. Is it going to be Jokic or is it going to be Dame? And everyone loves Dame in the playoffs, so we'll see. It'll be a fun series to watch.
Yeah, I think both those supporting casts need to really show up, and whoever shows up more is going to win. Sixers Wizards. That game was actually closer than I expected in game one. I think it was a 7 point game at the end. But the Sixers ended up winning. Ben Simmons was pretty non-existent, and they still won. I think, or well, Tobias Harris put up a great game. And then moving on, the Phoenix Suns take a massive game one win over the Lakers. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, but right now everyone's rooting for the Suns and the Knicks. I feel like,
If
but
you're if you're a Laker fan, then anyone that's not a Laker fan is rooting for the Suns.
exactly. And I mean, talk about atmospheres. The atmosphere in Phoenix was just unbelievable. I wish I could be at that game. Um, but it was
But
just great.
speaking of atmospheres,
Yeah,
how about
move on.
Madison Square Garden?
Yeah,
It was so awesome to watch fans in New York going crazy. Like you said, you say it all the time. Basketball is at its best state when New York basketball is good. And
I've said that multiple times, and I truly stand by that statement. And I think that I was thinking about this yesterday, and I don't mean to put anything on Lakers fans. Some Lakers fans are great, but as a Knicks and a Suns fan, I feel like a lot of fan bases don't really understand the true meaning of how important it is to see our teams in the playoffs right now. To have a
Yeah,
home playoff game.
it's awesome because you're not like a team that's been in the playoffs continuously. It
Right.
makes the times when you're good more special, and that's
Exactly.
like me with all of my favorite sport teams. Look at the New York Giants. We're not often great, but it's so much fun when we're good. My New York Mets for baseball. We're not always good, but when we are, and it's so exciting, and it just like you said for the Knicks and the Suns for you, it's more important to us as fans when we're in the playoffs.
Right.
And
I don't mean to put Lakers fans down, but that's how it is. And um, we've been waiting a decade pretty much to see this, and
I mean, this is the
it's
first time in our lifetimes we've seen our favorite basketball teams in the playoffs and playing great.
exactly. It's really cool to watch. So sadly, though, MSG would have been rocking if the Hawks would if the Knicks would have won that game. But
I think we'll be erupting on Wednesday when we even the series at 1. But yes, Trey Young got that floater.
yeah, Trey
Uh,
Young,
we'll
great
go
game.
we'll go into the series. I have a lot to say.
Yeah, and
Uh,
then finally we wrap it up. Let me just say these first 8 games, obviously the Bucks and the Blazers played again, but the first 8 games were unbelievable. I mean, every game on that schedule, even the Celtics had a lead over the Nets at halftime, and but all these games were just amazing. And then we round out with the Grizzlies beating the Jazz, which I mean, I know they didn't have Mitchell, but no one really expected the Grizzlies to get past the Warriors. I don't know
yeah,
about you, but
I thought the Warriors would win. Here
I
they are, Ja Morant, the Grizzlies taking game 1.
exactly, but I love Ja. I really respect what he's been doing for Memphis, and we'll get more into that series later. So we start with Bucks Heat. We both mentioned that this series probably won't go that far, not as far as last season when it went totally in Miami's favor. So in
Yeah,
game one, Butler went 4 for 22. That's not what you want to see from your star player. He did almost have a triple double though. Duncan Robinson 7 of 13 from the 3 point line with 24 points. He was probably their best player. Tyler Hero, after he probably averaged 35 minutes in the playoffs last year in the bubble, you think? And
yeah. It
dropping 20
seemed like he was on the court all the time in the bubble last year.
he was dropping 25 points, 10 assists. He only played 19 minutes last game.
So what do you think? I mean, this roster for the Heat and the Bucks are pretty similar to last year. What's different this year?
Right. So I'll bring in the NFL here, even though I know these two don't really correlate. But whenever Bill Belichick wins a ring, is his roster ever the same the next season?
No, it's usually just a different
Exactly.
people, you know?
He's notorious for changing things up, and I think Pat Riley and Spoelstra kind of kept the same guys together. And sometimes you need a guy, even a guy or two, to come in to challenge a spot. And I
Mm,
feel like they didn't have that happen. And Jay Crowder went to Phoenix, and I'm loving him in Phoenix. But I think the loss of Crowder was really big. And I mean, the Heat obviously haven't got the best version of Jimmy Butler or Bam in game one or two, but I think they needed to make a few offseason changes. And I mean, the Bucks, I don't like them as a playoff team, but they're just too much for Miami right now. Miami cannot figure it out.
yeah, and like you said, if you're looking at the key factors, if you're watching the YouTube video, the huge thing for this series is how Giannis is shooting. And when Giannis is shooting well, unlike last year's playoff series, the Bucks will dominate, as shown here. And bench points have also been huge. Bucks bench have outscored Miami by a wide margin, both games, I believe.
Ga-
And
yeah, game one, I
last,
think it went more toward Miami, but um, I'll just bring up one point. PJ Tucker, the addition of Tucker as a veteran defender on guys like Jimmy Butler, and maybe next series against this is the three, so they would be playing probably the Nets. So maybe on Kevin Durant next series. I mean, I think that's a big addition. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, for this question here, is this the last chance for Giannis?
Right. Um, I'll answer first. I don't know. He's obviously signed the big contract, so he's there. But you've been through Eric Bledsoe being the second or third man. Is Middleton the second or third man? I don't know. He's getting older. This is if Giannis can't get it done right now, and the big three for the Nets stay together. I can't see Giannis if it unless he gets past this shooting thing where he could start shooting threes at the 35% mark. it might be over.
Yeah. I mean, also, I mean, unfortunately for Giannis this year is the Nets. It's
Right.
a really hard roadblock.
Yeah. I unless if he could get his shooting down, then fantastic. But if not, I I don't see how he could get better, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, like we've said this for everyone's been saying this for years now, is if Giannis can develop his jump shot, he'll be the unanimous best player in the league.
Do you I know maybe we talked about this before, but is Giannis the Lamar Jackson of the NBA?
No, I it's interesting because both players have a key aspect in their respective sport and their position that they lack in. You know, Lamar lacks in
Mhm.
the throwing game, but he excels in the running game. Giannis lacks in the shooting, but he excels in his driving and finishing and defense even.
Yeah, literally everything else other than shooting.
That's why I think like if Giannis really commits to developing his jump shot, even you said 35, even 35% from three, he would be
Right,
dangerous,
that would be
have more
best case
volume.
scenario.
Yes, but
Yeah.
honestly, an overview for this series is Bucks are in control and doesn't look like anything is going to change
Yeah, I think you agree with me, 4 or 5 game series max,
easily.
nothing more. I'd be shocked if Miami could come back. So,
Moving on.
yeah, you wanna talk about this because I know you're a Luka lover.
Yes, I do love Luca. I got that City Edition Luca jersey this year. I should rock it next episode if
Yeah,
the
you should.
Mavericks win again. But in this series, we saw the Mavericks upset Clippers, of course, to take the 1-0 lead. Luca got that triple double, 5 for 11 from three. You know, he wasn't very great shooting from three this year, but being 5 for 11 will definitely help, especially your team. Tim Hardaway, nice off the bench, 8 for 13, 21 points. But big thing is Porzingis did not play well. And do you think that's going to impact future games?
I mean, Porzingis didn't play much in the bubble playoffs last year, and the Mavericks still went 6 games on the Clippers. So, I don't think Porzingis this is the thing where Porzingis doesn't have to be great, but he has to be just good enough. Um, but I mean, the Mavericks team hasn't changed much since last playoffs. I love Jalen Brunson from Villanova. He is the point guard off the bench. He's just energy, all energy, energy, energy. He's great. Um, but the playoff
Well, both
struggle,
playoff P.
pandemic P, playoff P, Paul George, a lot of people said this is his year, his redemption year. He had a great regular season until the end. He kind of fell off a little bit, but 3 turnovers, 4 personal fouls, two of 8 from three, 23 points. Not what you want to see from your second star player. Kawhi played well, but this Clippers team, a lot of people, said Doc Rivers was the problem. Doc Rivers leaves, Tyronn Lue comes in, and it looks like nothing's changed. Absolutely nothing. Maybe even they got worse.
I think in the Clippers' defense, Lou isn't the answer. He's not a great coach, in my
I
opinion.
don't think any coach is the answer. I think it's internal. But and another thing is Luca had 31 points. Guess how many points he had in the fourth quarter?
He had how many?
He had
31.
one point in the fourth quarter after he dropped 30 points at 3-3 and then had 1 point. And the Mavs still won by 10, I believe.
That's a good sign for the Mavericks. If your star player only has one in the fourth and you still win, like it's
Right.
good news.
But I think the Clippers are the more talented team in this. I don't know if do you agree with that or not really?
Yeah, I would agree.
I mean that's what I think, and I think this is their series to lose. It would be a shame if they lose this. The Kawhi experiment would be just go god awful,
And I think
and
everyone just wants to see a battle of LA some point, but I don't
right.
think it's.
I don't think we're gonna get it, Ryan. I really don't think we're gonna get it.
I would love to see it though.
I would love to. I mean, I don't want to see it. It would be
I know
cool,
you wouldn't love to see it.
right?
I want the Suns to win too, but if that series ended up happening, that'd be great to watch.
Right, exactly. And then I'll mention the key factors. I mean, the guard play by the Clippers between Rondo, Beverly, and Reggie Jackson is just really rough. Those are 3 older players, and they're just not getting it done offensively. I think they should play Terrence Mann more. He's more of a combo guard from Florida State. He came out of college a few years ago. They just need like a spark on offense outside of George and Kawhi that they're just not getting right now.
Yeah, I mean, Clippers need to do something to help out Kawhi. Even Paul George, like we said, he just needs to clean up on his play.
Mhm.
And if they find a way, to help Kawhi, then they will end up winning this series.
Right. I totally agree with that. I think if I had to make a prediction, I know the Mavericks are up 1-0. I still would think Clippers in 6. That's what I'll
I
take right
I'm
now.
gonna go opposite here. I think Mavs in 7.
Mavs in 7. Wow. I just don't think, you know, I don't love Paul George, but when Paul George is your second option compared to Tim Hardaway as your second option, it's tough to bet against the
Of
Clippers.
course, of course.
But I would love to see the Mavs win this series. I
And
did
here we
not
go.
I didn't write a lot for this because I don't think we need to talk about this much. Um, you want to give me your thoughts first?
I mean, on paper, Nets versus Celtics, even with the injury to Brown for the Celtics, it's just everything favors the Nets. Maybe
I disagree.
other than defense. Don't get me wrong. Nets have a really rough defensive efficiency, but all three, if like we said earlier, they're healthy, they're playing. You're not going to win the series, especially out of 7. Even though the Celtics had light and they led at halftime, you got KD. Like it's scary to think that KD and Kyrie can have an off game and still win because Harden went off. Like there's endless possibilities for this team.
Um, I disagree with you when you say when you said the Jalen Brown thing because I mentioned this 2 episodes ago, I believe. I honestly, people will say, yes, Tatum's outstanding offensively. I think Jalen Brown was the most important piece of this team because of what he did on both ends of the
I
floor.
was just mentioning that I still think that even with Brown, the Nets are better.
Oh, yeah, yeah, no, I can
Yeah,
agree with
that's what
that.
I was saying.
But I think with Jalen Brown, this series becomes a little bit more competitive. Not competitive like 7 games competitive, but
Maybe
6
by a
games.
game, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But without Brown, I it's just so tough to see.
Hard, it's hard.
Like you said, 2 of the 3 can have a bad game, and still you get guys like Landry Shamet and Bruce Brown off the bench just giving you energy. Mike James, who they just signed, who I saw play in the summer league countless seasons, he's outstanding off the bench as well. And now you got Blake Griffin, who's really bought into his role. He's not doing anything too special. He's giving you 20, 25 minutes a game, and he's just been good. He hasn't been great. So, um, like we said, big 3 too much to handle. Kemba Walker and Jason Tatum went off in the playing game. Tatum had 50, but obviously not going to happen this time. 5-game series max, yes.
Yeah, you wanna hear an interesting stat real quick about Tatum?
Go for it.
So Tatum has scored 50 points 3 times in his career, okay?
Yeah,
So, I don't know if you know I know you know a little bit about baseball,
yes, a
but
little bit.
a no-hitter is when a pitcher doesn't allow hit the entire game.
I saw a stat. Yeah,
Yes. In 2 of those days where Tatum has scored 50, there's been a no-hitter in baseball.
I wonder what those odds are. Those have to be
Those odds are incredibly low, like,
exactly.
it's crazy. Sorry, just a cool stat that
No, I think that's awesome. Next time Tatum is going to drop 50, we have to bet on a, a no hitter.
I'm sure there is a bet like that somewhere right now.
Yeah. Oh God, that's
Yeah.
insane. But yeah, but Tatum's not going to drop 50 in this series. I don't think.
Of course, of course.
Nuggets Blazers. So you want to tell me what you think about this? As by the way, live score update. The Nuggets are up by about 20. So the game's over. It's tied 1-1.
Okay, game's over. So, series is officially 1-1.
Yes.
I think this series is would be definitely in the Nuggets' favor if it wasn't for
Hmm.
Jamal's injury. Like, I think if a healthy Jamal Murray, the Nuggets maybe even sweep because you have a guard that can match Dame, and then you have Jokic that's still gonna go off.
I would say Nuggets in 6 or 7. I would not say sweep, but
You
that's
still think you'll get that far?
oh yeah, because I mean, Ryan, have you seen this guy Damian Lillard the
Oh,
past
I
few
love Dame.
playoffs?
I love Dame.
And you do have Nurkic, who's not a terrible center.
And MPJ.
MPJ for Denver, but MPJ can't play
No,
defense.
I'm saying MPJ helps the Nuggets in the favor for this like the 4 or 5 games prediction for
Oh
me.
yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. I understand what you're saying, but yeah, I get what you're saying. But I think that now that it's 1-1, it's tough to say because Jokic only had 1 assist in his last game, but today, I mean, let me look at the stat sheet. But Jokic has 5 assists right now, and he went 15 for 20. So he obviously played much better.
Yeah,
Michael
much
Porter
better.
Jr. and Michael Porter Jr. only went 1 for 10 last game from three, but he did have
Yeah,
25
rough.
points. Um, it's like both games were kind of a little bit of blowouts. The Nuggets ran away with it today, and the Blazers ran away with it 2 days ago. Who do you have? Do you have the Blazers winning now? I don't know.
No, I don't. I still, especially with what happened in game 2, I think the Nuggets got this.
I, I'll go opposite. I think. Oh God, this series is the toughest to. In my opinion, this is the toughest series because you have Dame. No one's going to be able to stop Dame. It's going to end up being, can CJ and Nurkic really be the 2 and 3 guys that help out?
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, if Dame continues to play how he has been and how he does in clutch, situations, then maybe the Blazers get the edge, but I think having the league MVP with Jokic, that the Nuggets will close it out,
right. I
but
mean,
probably in
mhm,
6 or 7 games. It'll be a long series.
yeah. The the Blazers only play a 8-man rotation, 9-man rotation, which is very interesting because most teams still play 9 to 10 man rotations in playoffs. But last game they played an 8-man rotation. They had Simons, Carmelo Anthony, and Ennis Cantor off the bench, and I actually really like that, having an 8-man
Yeah,
rotation. But you wonder if this series goes 7 games, is that going to hurt them because you only have this 8-man rotation?
I mean, I don't think so too much because they do have a 2 whole day break between,
Some
2 of their
games.
games twice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good
between
point. Yeah.
twice, so that's an
Yeah, when
extra
you
rest
travel.
day,
Mhm.
and I think, that 8-man rotation will be able to rest, and I don't know, I like I said, I think Jokic is your decisive factor, and that's why I give the edge to the Nuggets.
Right. And under my key factors, the second one is, are the Nuggets in serious trouble? We can both agree, no, they are not after this game two performance.
No, but I think in the long run, they are because of Jamal.
Right, because it was a ACL, right? Or Achilles or one or the
Yeah,
other,
long
which
term, it'll
means
be rough.
he's not going to be ready for the start of next season. And that in the Western Conference, I don't know.
Moving on to the Sixers and Wizards, though. Sixers took game 1, but I mean, it's hard if you're a Wizards fan because you have 2 of the best players in the league, and
Two of the best guards in the league, sure.
yeah, 2 of the best guards in the league, and you just can't win games, and, props to them for blowing out their playing game, but I don't like Russell in the postseason. I just don't, but and the Sixers are still talented, so I don't think this series is gonna be close.
Right. Tobias Harris played very well. Embiid played well. They combined for 67 points. Ben Simmons only had 6 points.
Shot only 9 times, though.
Yeah, only shot 9 times. He didn't really need to do much offensively, as he doesn't anyways, in my opinion. He dishes, I guess. They did have an 11-man rotation. So contrasting from what we just talked with Portland, Doc Rivers is going the opposite way. He's giving more minutes to his bench guys, including Tyrese Maxey, who I really like off the bench. He's a combo guard.
I like
Um,
that decision because
mhm.
you're playing the Wizards, a team you don't really need to worry about, so why not it's a good, way to not overwork your top guys.
Yeah, sure. I think the key for Washington is, can they limit Philly to under 115 points? I think that's the cap. If Philly is able to go over 115 points, I don't think the Wizards have a chance. But if they're able defensively, if somehow they hold Philly shooting, if Philly shoots really badly, the Wizards have to win that game.
Oh, yeah, definitely, and you still need Beal and Westbrook to combine for,
Oh,
like,
it's 80, 70.
70%, 80% of your points, which is crazy to think
I
about.
know, but I mean, it's tough to even name the whole roster of Washington. I mean, you got Rui.
I could barely give you your 4th option.
Exactly. I mean, Denny Avicii got injured, the kid from the Israeli kid,
Mhm.
sadly in mid-season. But you got Rui Hachimura, who they drafted 2 years back, who's he'll give you 13 and 6. And then, I mean, I don't know. You have Daniel Gafford, who came over from Chicago. He was their best player. He was a plus 14 plus minus in only 20 minutes, so he did well. But then again, you look below that. This is what we were talking about a few episodes ago. Westbrook had 6 turnovers in a big game, and
You have the Wizards are really a two-man team, and if one of them they're not playing well, then you're not going to win that game.
Even if both of them are playing well, it's honestly tough to see them taking 3
That's
games.
yeah, it's hard.
This would be a unreal win if the Wizards are able to take this series. Um, but if Westbrook's able to limit his turnovers and hit his 3-point shots, I think they have a chance of stealing 1, maybe 2 games. You want to give me your thoughts on this outstanding game 1 win? Oh, so exciting to
Oh,
watch.
yes, we hit the Suns Lakers, and I'll go a little bit before you can take over, as this is your team.
Yeah.
But I do not like LeBron James, or LaFlop, as I like to call him sometimes. But that Chris Paul injury was scary. I thought that when Chris Paul went down, that he wasn't going to come back. That Suns were in trouble, but he came back. He might have not played the best, but doesn't matter, as the Suns ended up taking care of the Lakers. And Anthony Davis once again did not play well at all. 13.5 for 16, not impressive. LeBron, I think if Lakers are going to win the series, LeBron needs to take over. He needs to be your number one man. He needs to have the ball in his hand as much as possible, and that's your key to victory. But you know what, Jane, take it from here. Go ahead. It's your team.
So I'll give a little injury update on Chris Paul because I'm sure not everyone knows. So Monty Williams said that he's still a little bit sore, but he's much better than he was a few days ago, which is really good to hear because he's a key component. This is a new rivalry. What do you think? I
I
think.
think so. You saw scuffling. I would
Oh,
agree.
you saw the scuffling. Um, I was jumping up at the TV. I think this is a new rivalry. Phoenix against LA. I think this is a great rivalry for basketball. I think they need it. Um, Devin Booker, man. Devin Booker. This was his moment. His first playoff appearance, and he goes for 34, and a casual 34. It wasn't an eye-opening 34. He had a
Nearly a
couple,
double as well.
yeah, 8 assists. Well, that's partly because of CP3. He couldn't really handle the ball that well when he got hurt. Um, we only shot 32% from the 3-point line. We're normally 38% on the season, and we still won in a little bit of a convincing manner. CP3 only 7 points. Maybe our best player dropped 7 points, and we still won. DeAndre Ayton, I can't clap it up enough for this kid. I watched him freshman year at Arizona until now. Character development is the correct term to use for him. He was, as a freshman at U of A, he was not that talkative, not really a leader, didn't call for the ball, didn't demand the ball when he should have. Now he's a key component, pick and roll game, demanding the ball in the post, taking Anthony Davis for ransom. Anthony Davis went 5 for 16, minus 18 plus minus. And man, I was so happy with Jay Crowder and Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, our wing players. Really solid wing play from our team. We kind of look like Miami from last year in the postseason when they were playing extremely well. Um, but LeBron only 18 points. Caruso might have been the best player on the Lakers. I watched the whole game, and the only guy giving the full energy on the Lakers was Alex Caruso. Um, he was in the scuffle as well, which whatever. I didn't agree with the calls on that scuffle, but what can you do? Key factors to the series: can DeAndre Ayton stay consistent? He played a game against the Knicks at the end of the season, and he dropped 29, and he had over a double double. He's played very well. Came out the next game and only had about 5 shots attempted. Secondly, is energy. The Lakers put up zero energy. The Suns gave a lot of energy. What is LeBron going to tell his team? I'm not a LeBron fan as well. I'm starting to become not a hater, but against him. I think game 2 decides the series, Ryan. I think game 2 is huge. If the Suns could go up 2-0 to Staples Center, oh my God.
I would agree with you there. I think if the the Suns go into Staples Center, like you said, up 2 games, and you probably will take one out of those two. Maybe not, depending on how the Lakers decide to change things up. But like we saw last year when the Lakers won 2 game ones against the Trailblazers and the Rockets,
Well,
they
well,
did
that
two
mhm.
full gentleman sweeps, I believe.
Yeah, well, I think so. They lost game 1 against Portland, and everyone said, "Oh, this is Dame Dalla. This is Dame. Dame's going to go off." And then they won that series. Then they lost against Chris Paul. I mean Westbrook and Harden in Houston, And that went, I think, 5 or 6 games as well. So I think you're right.
Yeah, if you're a Suns fan, you are worried about game two. If you're a Lakers fan, I don't think you have to worry yet because of how the game ones went last year. But the Suns are better teams than the Trailblazers and the Rockets were last year. So it's a
Totally agree. Better coaching, better team. So I think game two may decide the series because if we win, that means the Lakers have not figured us out. That's that. Then I'll talk about the bubble Suns because without Chris Paul, our team is the bubble Suns, which we went 8-0 last year. Obviously, whatever, maybe people rested, but I think it has the same energy, which I love. Um, Here are the keys, some other ones. LeBron's free throw shooting is atrocious. He has
and
no confidence at the line.
you know he's gonna get a lot of free throws because the refs love him.
Yeah, he has no confidence at the line, and I will gladly send LeBron James to the line at the end of the game. I would intentionally foul LeBron at the end of the game. I'm gonna, and we are gonna come back to this very moment when LeBron has free throws in the last 5 minutes of the game, and he's gonna go 1 for 2, and we're gonna go on a streak, and we're gonna come back to this moment, and I'll say I told you so.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
The Suns shooting, we shot 32% from three. We can do better. I think we didn't shoot the ball that well. I think our emotions are running a little bit high. I think we could do better. Um, and lastly, the only way we got beat yesterday was yesterday was Dennis Schroeder off the baseline. If we limit Schroeder going baseline and being able to kick out or going up for the easy layup, I think that's massive. So keep out of the baseline, maybe go a bit zone. Monty Williams went a little bit a zone last game, which helped us a little bit at times. So I really like that. Anything to add to the series, and give me your prediction for the series so far.
My anything to add is go Suns.
Mhm.
And my prediction is Suns in six.
Suns in six. That's my original prediction. I'm sticking with it. Suns winning six at Staples Center.
I hope so.
All right. I'll do the same thing. I'll talk first, then you go on. So Knicks lost by 2. We're both upset about that. I know you're more upset.
Of course.
Trey Young is outstanding. We know that. Julius Randle, bad game. Um, this series, I think game 2 is going to really decide it. I
Yeah,
think the Knicks need to win game 2. All right, you go for it.
yeah. I'm saying game two is gonna be definitely difficult if for the Knicks if they lose. But going back to your original statement, Trey Young, is he amazing? Everyone, no one likes how he plays. And yes, he didn't actually have a lot of free throws last game, but no one likes how he his game revolves around the free throw line. And it's not fun to watch. It's not real basketball. So that's why I'm not a huge fan of Trey Young. Loved him rookie year, but we saw this year and like, he just how he plays, it's not ideal to watch. But
Can I
anyway,
ask you a question before you go on? Because I know you want to talk about this, but would you rather start a franchise with Trey Young or John Morant?
Ja, no question. I think maybe Young is more talented, but Ja is going to be that leader, and I think we'll see that in years to come.
I would agree with you. I think Ja's a better leader and much better on defense. But I think the way the shooting's gone the new NBA and the shooting wise, I might have to lean with Trey. But go on. That's an interesting debate.
Yeah. So, anyways, Young wins it with a floater in the final seconds. But what I'll start off with is the Knicks possession. We had a second left to shoot, and we had Alec Burks inbound. And if you don't know, Alec Burks is a great bench guy. Alec Burks had 27 points on 9 for 13, including 3 for 5 from three. So he was our leading scorer that night, and he was on fire. He was a huge reason why we were up in the fourth quarter, why we had a great bench. Our bench had 64 total points, completely outscored the Hawks bench, and we had him inbound. And if Tom Thibodeau, I don't like that call. I don't like having Julius Randle with the ball, who had a terrible game. Probably, as I said here, the worst game of the entire season. It was more of 2019 Julius Randle than this
Right.
year Julius Randle. And but if you're a Knicks fan like me, you feel okay because we only lost by 2 with our number one player playing as bad as he did. And so I'm feeling comfortable there. Trey Young didn't have too much help. Gallinari only had 7 points on 3 for 11. He usually is their go-to sixth man, but he didn't play well. Bogdanovich, he shot around 50% and had 18 points, so not bad there. But you do need to help more Trey Young. Trey Young can't be your only source of offense. And then if you're the Knicks, Your defense, of course, was great as it always is and has been this entire year. Your question is your offense. You need RJ Barrett to step up, have a good game. You need Derrick Rose to be more efficient. So a lot of questions need to be asked for the Knicks. Mind you, this is a team that hasn't been in the playoffs in a long time. A young team, not a lot of playoff experience. And like you said, game two is gonna be huge. But what I like to talk about real quick is Madison Square Garden. Oh, what an atmosphere! Probably the best atmosphere in not just the NBA, but maybe all of sports. When that when the Garden was going off and they were crazy, it was such a great feeling, not for the Knick fan, but for NBA. It was amazing to see the fans into it and erupting for their team. Unfortunately, they were silenced by Trey Young, but I think the Knicks will come back game two, and I think they'll end up winning maybe in seven. I think this game maybe goes seven.
Right. Um, of course, we know the Knicks defense is their staple with Tom Thibodeau there. So they held the Hawks to 109 points, right? I think it was 109 to 107. So that's the good part, that they're able to hold the Hawks to under 110 because the Hawks are a very high scoring team and they
Mm.
also allow a lot of points. So that's the good thing. Um, I mean, who do you like playing guard mostly? Do you like Quickly or D Rose or what's your deal there?
It's really depending on the situation.
Mhm.
I think if you're in clutch time, I think you have D Rose play. But I think if
Right.
you're in like the second and third quarter, you have Quickly play, and I think Quickly should have more minutes. And I
Mhm.
know you don't want to overwork him because he's going to be your staple guard in the future. I believe he will be. Great
Right.
pickup there, great draft pick. But I don't know. That's the one situation where we have a lot of guards who get a decent amount of minutes each game. It's just we haven't found that solidifying player. And Derrick
Yeah.
Rose was playing great. He wasn't efficient in game one. He definitely will improve there. But yeah, I mean, go Knicks.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I'm rooting for the Knicks as well. And both the atmospheres at Staples at Madison Square Garden and then with the Suns game in Phoenix was outstanding. So now we move on to the last series, which is Jazz Grizzlies. I didn't see many people expect the Grizzlies to take this game. So Dylan Brooks showed out. He had 31 points. Seems like he's only clutch in the playoffs because he took the Oregon Ducks to the Final Four when he was there and was unbelievable. And he did it again with Memphis. Ja Morant, 0 3-pointers made, but still at 26 points. So not a typical guard nowadays. And he only had one turnover, which he plays a lot like Russell Westbrook, where he just puts his head down, drives into the lane sometimes. But he only has one turnover, which is outstanding. Jonas Valanciunas, he was on the Raptors for a long time, has that playoff experience, 15 and 12. Perfect. You want to talk about the Jazz a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's rough for when probably your number one player definitely on your
Yeah,
team is out.
definitely.
Uh, and not having Donovan Mitchell really showed. And you also had your defensive staple and probably your defensive player of the year once again, Rudy Gobert, foul out. And he's huge for the Jazz for protecting the paint and even getting some points in the paint. And Conley and Clarkson combined for 36 points, so not bad fill in for Donovan there. But their leading scorer was Bogdanovich, who had 29 points and 5 boards. And they still managed to lose. Grizzlies surged back.
Let me tell you something though. If your leading scorer is I love Bogdanovich, but if he's your leading scorer out of Clarkson and Conley, you're gonna lose.
Yeah,
And I think Jordan Clarkson, his shot was not fallen. I love Clarkson. He's gonna win Sixth Man of the Year, but his shot was not falling.
he did
Rudy
win
Go,
6
yeah, oh yeah, he already did. Yeah, yeah,
minutes.
yeah. Rudy Gobert is an offensive liability.
Of course.
This man is 7'1", Ryan, and he cannot put the ball in the basket.
No,
It is sad to see.
he's
Be,
unbelievable.
because on defense he's great, but I mean, it's like he can't play offense. All he does is screen, and it's just sad to see because him and Mitchell could be so good on offense. We saw what Aiton did with Chris Paul and Booker. Gobert with Mitchell would be awesome if he could play offense.
Well, the only reason they really managed to be one seed was because of the play by Donovan Mitchell and their supporting cast.
Right. No, that's a large part. And Quinn Snyder is a fantastic coach, but is Mitchell going to be healthy? That's the key factor of this series, the number one factor. If
I think you
Mitchell's
I think you play him game 2.
you have to, because you can't take the chance of going down 2-0
No,
and going into Memphis with fans now.
you can't do.
Um, you can't do that. So, but if Mitchell's 80%, Ryan, this series could really swing in Memphis's favor.
It's very interesting to think about.
Right. Clarkson definitely has to step up. Kyle Anderson had 6 steals. I wanted to mention him. UCLA alum and Greg Popovich alum. He's really showing out in the playoffs. And lastly, the whole Memphis roster is willing to play defense. Brooks is willing to play defense. Anderson's willing to play defense. Jaren Jackson is willing to play defense. So the fact that you're willing to play defense against the number one seed in the playoffs, you don't see all 8 seeds giving it their all. Some people write them out early, but not this case with Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies. Um, Last thing, who do you have in this series? Because now it's interesting.
I still gotta say Jazz. I mean, they're number 1 seed,
Mhm.
and I think Mitchell will come back, and he'll definitely he might not be himself from the regular season, but he's still gonna put up around 20 plus points, and I think that'll be too much for the Grizzlies.
I might have to disagree with you, my friend.
Oh, wow.
I might have to say Memphis in 7.
Are you saying
I
because you're a betting man, or are you saying that because
no, I'm saying I'm not. I'm saying this because I don't know if Donovan Mitchell's 100%. We haven't seen him in a minute. Rudy Gobert is fouling out and he can't play offense. The Grizzlies now have a healthy Jaren Jackson and Valanciunas, who's really good in the playoffs.
Mhm.
And if Dylan Brooks is shooting the ball like he is, and you get Desmond Bain off the bench, um, and you get Ja Morant playing like this, and you get Grayson Allen playing some defense, this series is going to go 6 or 7. And I think Memphis, if they can steal game one of the games, if they could go 2-2 and Mitchell's not 100%, I don't know. I don't know. I think Ja might pull this one out as well, and that might put him into a different tier of players, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would agree. I think, if you're a Grizzly fan, you love to see your young players getting this playoff experience,
Totally.
and they'll be able to develop into something maybe, that can develop into a mid-range seed for the
Right.
following years.
I think they could push to 6 or 7. That's my early prediction of this series. You want to talk about some hockey real quick?
Yeah, to give you your daily episode of Stanley Cup playoff. Panthers, I love the Panthers. I'm so happy they forced Game 6 against the Lightning. I don't think they're gonna win. I hate to see it. I had the Panthers going to the Eastern Conference Finals or whatever your Final Four since they're reseeding. But Lightning, they're too good. They'll end up winning. But I'm just so happy to see the Panthers force Game 6. Connor McDavid, yeah, he is not performing in playoffs. A player that put up 100 plus points in a shortened season, something that we haven't seen since the Gretzky era. And it's crazy to think that his team, they just can't win with him and Draisaitl. And it's so sad to see as they're probably going to get swept. They're in double overtime now against the Jets in game 4 as they're down 3-0. Avs and Bruins first teams moving on. Blues had no chance against the Avalanche as the Avalanche swept them. They just outperformed them. Avalanche will have a tough matchup no matter who they play in either the Golden Knights or the Wild. Uh, Bruins, they even though they were outshot most of the games against the Capitals, they were just too strong. And then Islanders, they take Game 6, go. I mean, they take Game 5, go up 3-2 in the series. And the Penguins are they're on the back. They're looking to get upset here, and it's not good if you're a Crosby fan. And it's very sad to see the Penguins. They're kind of crumbling now, but the Islanders, they're looking very good right now. Anders Lee playing very well. And my new playoff prediction is I have the Bruins unfortunately making the final again against the Avalanche. I still have the Avalanche making it there. But that's
Right.
your Stanley Cup playoff update.
I remember. I don't follow hockey as much as you, obviously, but I heard throughout the season the Avalanche were by far the best team.
Yeah, I
Um,
would agree with that.
right.
They're unbelievably talented. They have some young stars, and their goaltending's great. They're an all around team.
Right. And I just saw sadly, the Golden Knights just lost against the Wild.
Fortunately, they
So,
lost 4-2. They got that empty netter in the last minute.
right.
Uh,
But they
Florida,
got the 3-2 series lead, it says.
yeah, we still have a
All right.
3-2 series lead.
So
Big
and I'm
game.
guessing next game's in Vegas, I'm guessing.
No, next game's in Minnesota. We have the higher seed. Yeah.
Got it. I see.
So
So I
it'll
wish
be
you
fun
luck
to
with
see how
that.
that ends up.
Yeah. Um, do you want to give your? Do you have any new NBA playoff predictions, or are you going to stick with?
I'm gonna stick with mine. I like where I'm sitting at. I think maybe depending on how the Maverick Clippers series goes, I'll have to change it.
Right,
But
of course.
I don't know. I like where I'm at right now. But it's been a great first round so far, even though we've only played one game really for
Oh,
each. But
yeah, we're 10 games in now.
a lot of fun basketball.
Oh, a lot just fun watching basketball. I think games to watch out for. I just say game 2 of the Suns Lakers series is really going to decide it because we're going to see if LeBron and the Frank Vogel have figured us out or not. And if not, we might win by 10 plus points, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just saying.
We'll see.
Um,
We'll see.
we'll see. And then game 2 of Knicks-Hawks is going to be massive. I think those two series. Um, I think the Clippers will take game 2. Uh,
Mhm.
Sadly. I mean, I know a lot of people want to see Luka move on, but it's been fun this episode. We'll be getting to our next divisional episode soon, I'm guessing, for the
Yeah, I believe
NFL.
we're gonna go with the AL East, correct?
The AL East, we're not doing baseball.
Sorry, AFC East. I don't know what I meant. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, we could go AFC. Yeah, AFC is going to be fun. You got a few up and coming teams in there, so that'll be fun.
We got to
Um,
talk about the best quarterback in the draft, of course. In
mm,
uh, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
but before we go,
yes.
huge news. Julio Jones wants out.
Oh yeah, I was actually gonna bring that up. Good job bringing that up. So Julio Jones wants out. He went on undisputed on Fox today, and as Shannon Sharp called him, he says, "I want out," and he's not going to go to Dallas. So that leaves what 30 other teams, I guess.
I think he's going to the Rams.
The Rams? They can't
Hmm.
afford him.
There's a way.
Well, there's always a way, I guess. If I had to make my early prediction, Tennessee Titans,
Oh, I heard about that one. He works out with he
Derrick
works out
Henry.
with Henry. He's played with. I mean, AJ Brown's idolized him.
Hmm.
He'd give up number 11. He said already.
Right.
So that I don't know. It'll be he's like your last free agent, quote unquote, to fight for.
Right. I heard DeAndre Hopkins was trying to recruit him, but
That's
I don't think he's
excellent.
going to end up in Arizona. I think if I had to pick two teams for him, 49ers or Titans. Those are my two spots. I think Titans
Going,
are going to get him.
I'm going Rams and Titans. I think the Rams will get him.
Okay, that's fair to say. We'll see where Julio ends up, and we'll talk about some more NBA the next time we meet. It's been really fun. Thank you guys for tuning in. Episode 6 will come out next week. We keep rolling. Put
We
in the
keep
put
going.
in the comments who you think's going to win the Knicks series and the Suns series.
And we with summer coming out, we'll be probably going to shoot for 2 episodes a week.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Sounds good. Thanks, guys, for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
See you later.